I'm assuming that this entire ethnic group is responsible for the fraud, so I'm going to assume that every single business is actually secretly a front for this ethnic group that I want to vilify. It's the difference between looking at the Epstein case as a hyper-specific, isolated incident where someone who is potentially working with both the CIA and the Mossad is in the States of America and, you know, traffic weapons and stuff, and then looking at that and going, well, Jeffrey Epstein is Jewish, so all Jews are doing this. This is like, you know, a Jewish thing. And then going around town to synagogues and demanding to see the children inside, which some people did do, right? Around Islamophobia, or even around hating a minority group that is like an appropriate vector for hate in the eyes of this administration. Somalis, both being black and also Muslim, and why you can't get away with doing the same type of content, but in an anti-Semitic way. Although anti-Semitism has grown as well. Frame for Republican audiences better is like discovering that one homeschool is resulting in child abuse, so going to every homeschooler and demanding to see the kids because they're all abusing kids. It's so frustrating that the eye of the public is so, well, homeschooling is already, you know, that is a relatively harmful process, whereas daycare facilities are not, right? Day 2 in Zohran Mamdani's New York. I watched a gaggle of financial analysts get zip-tied and marched into an unmarked van. A man ordered a latte with a whole milk in front of me in line, and the barista immediately shot him in the head. This is real, it's happening. You know? Also, Zohran Mamdani did say that he was elected as a democratic socialist and he will govern as a democratic socialist, which was awesome to hear once again. Now, of course, in that process, there are some things that he did, like, you know, turning around and undoing all of the executive orders that the previous mayoralty had implemented, Eric Adams's previous executive orders. That was obviously a big deal, and, you know, many of that was good. There's obviously criticism surrounding one of the things that he also signed into law. I think it was like, what, no protests around like synagogues or something, or around places of worship. I don't think that's going to actually stop people from protesting outside of a synagogue if there's like illegal land sales taking place there. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and it will be a big test for the Zohran administration if they actually follow through on that. That would be very silly. So, you know, that would be completely unacceptable. This is the second executive order that he signed in. The power vested in me as mayor of New York. The first deputy mayor shall report directly to the mayor, advise and assist the mayor on all policies, blah, 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 all this stuff. What was it? Do you know if there's a term for this phenomenon where if someone from a minority group does something, it is viewed as the fault of them being in this minority group and not an individual? It's like the idea that gay predators are predators because they're gay and not because they're predators. Yeah, it's called bigotry. That's it. That's what it's called. Yeah, assuming every black person, all of us, there are a lot of people who operate like that, and the less there is interest in developing a better understanding of the world, the less there is, you know, the less people want to think about things thoroughly, the worse people get. Anyway, from Mamdani's second executive order, police commissioner will direct establishment of appropriate limitations on protest activities outside of houses of worship during non-religious activities to protect the speech and assembly rights of community members who make the use of houses of worship. It's a review, not a ban, is what Alex Kane is saying from Jewish Currents. This is a directive for the law department and the NYPD to review policies around protests outside of religious spaces. It doesn't do anything to actually restrict protests, at least not yet, and I would be surprised if the review did, given case law on this. In Ann Arbor, Michigan, there's a long weekly protest outside of Shabbat services. The protesters were sued. A judge dismissed the lawsuit. The Sixth Circuit agreed with the ACLU position that such protests were protected speech. The FACE Act, which the Trump administration is utilizing to sue protesters outside of a synagogue in New Jersey that was selling Israeli homes, including in settlements, does prohibit harassment or obstruction of houses of worship. But protest isn't necessarily harassment. So, are you gonna address the protests in Iran? Or are we not innocent enough for you? Wait, what? Innocent enough? I'm gonna get to it. I don't know why I just started, chatter. It's been an hour. We will get to Iran as well. Okay, can you calm down? So, like I said, there is criticism directed at Zoran over this, but I think it's we shall see. I would be very surprised if he was if Zoran was like, yeah, you guys can't actually protest outside of synagogues or temples or places of worship where they're like illegally selling stolen land. That is not going to happen, I don't think. And check back with me when it's potentially implemented. Even if it is implemented, I highly doubt that it will lead to real prosecutions, because I think people will destroy Zoran Mamdani. Like his own supporters will lose their minds over it. Jasper Nathaniel says, I am disappointed by this, even though it's just a review for now, and fully let down by him keeping Tish. But it seems insane to act as if Mamdani has already been compromised because he's doing politics. It's our job to keep pushing him. Yeah, I think we should. Why would that be surprising? He already condemned the protest several times. Because, I'll tell you why that's surprising. Because he has protested in the exact same way for a lot longer than he has been running for mayor or has become mayor of New York. That's the reason why it's surprising. I think it's good to have a little bit of confidence in people when they've spent a good deal of time doing something, right? If they actually turn around and drop all of that, I'll be there with you. I'll be by your side. Of course, I will be the first to condemn this shit. But you have to wait, and you shouldn't stop applying pressure, but you should think critically. That's it. Like, there are a lot of people who fall into this trap of engaging with politicians parasocially. They did it with AOC. They're doing it with Zoran Mamdani. I think that's silly. What do I always say? Politicians are our servants, okay? They serve us, members of the public. We vote for them so they can actually implement our desires. They tell us that they're going to run and follow through on promises that they made to us. And they win successfully. And they win resoundingly if they actually give us some promises that seek to eradicate some of the issues that we're experiencing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you just got to turn around and say, put the policies in the bag, little bro. Okay? Repeat after me. Put the policy in the bag. That's it. With Zoran Mamdani, it's the exact same. And if I, a person who still corresponds and communicates with Zoran Mamdani, can place myself outside of like feeling some kind of parasocial friendship with him, then I think you guys can do that as well, especially considering that you're looking at this from afar. All right. Now, there's also some good stuff here as well. Obviously. One of the things that really pissed off Israel and Israel dick riders was on his very first day, New York City Mayor Mamdani shows us his true face. He scraps the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism and lifts restrictions on boycotting Israel. I wonder why. Okay, Ali might goat in the replies immediately. Excellent step by New York City Mayor to scrap this bogus politicized definition used solely to impose Israel first policies on Americans and others. Let's recall that so-called IHRA is just Israel and a bunch of its Western arms suppliers. It has zero moral authority. Yeah, that's it. It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous that it was implemented to begin with. Okay? It's not only against the First Amendment, it's against the First Amendment at the behest of a foreign nation. They're complaining about this whole Shlomo Kramer's clip is overtaking social media, is also going viral. Why are they so bad at timing? It is the audacity. Okay? It is the audacity. You need to understand. It is the entitlement, the sheer arrogance. In many respects, it's because they're fascist, okay? This is how it works. It's a fascist, it's a fascist, hyper arrogant way of communicating. When you're like, what do you mean? Of course, I'm the GOAT. I'm the best thing. I'm the man. Of course you need to sit the down and listen to what I have to say. Of course you're going to actually silence and suppress speech criticizing my country. It's ridiculous. Okay? It's ridiculous. But for many people, I think, because of Holocaust education, because of the Nazis primarily targeting Jews, many people in the United States of America cannot comprehend that, like, someone can be Jewish and a fascist as well, okay? Someone can be a Jewish fascist, as a matter of fact, like a Jewish supremacist fascist as well, okay? This does not mean that all Jews are like this, of course. Just as every white person is not a card-carrying white supremacist Klans member. We have to understand, anyone and everyone can be a fascist, and Zionism is an ethno-religious supremacist ideology. It is fascist, and that is precisely the reason why people can speak like this, and it shocks people's consciousness. Okay, like, think about it. Look, every time someone here, I'll give it to you in terms that you can understand. Okay, if there were a bunch of, and there are some of these, the example I'm going to present to you kind of has already started. If instead of, Shlomo Kramer, you had Hank Patterson going on NBC as a high-profile Christian nationalist of a white background and saying, the anti-white sentiment needs to stop right now. The anti-Christian sentiment needs to stop right now. We are going to tackle the First Amendment to ensure that we preserve the First Amendment because we must preserve a future, a secure future for our white children. Okay? You'd understand it a little bit better, right? Hank Patterson running around talking about how white people are under attack. We must actually end or eradicate or significantly claw back First Amendment protections. We must punish people for speaking out against the whites. You would obviously recognize that as supremacist talking points. But because of our understanding, because of the history of Jews being persecuted throughout time, right, all the way into the Holocaust, we look at Jewish people as a marginalized people in the United States of America, and because historically they were, right, and we don't understand that someone who is a Zionist and is defending the interests of Israel is actually not speaking from a position of marginalization at all. As a matter of fact, they're simply utilizing the collective understanding of marginalization of Jews in an effort to defend their ethno-nationalist fascist project. Okay? That's it. The Shlomo clip going around, X is shorter than the full clip with context. Brother, we watched the full clip with the context, for the record. We did. And the full clip with the context, unironically, does not make it better. You're saying, oh, it's pretty interesting, mentions TikTok, X, and Elon, definitely a different meaning. Yeah, it mentions TikTok. Yes, the point that he is making is that we have to literally prosecute anti-Semitism, and we have to take out anti-Semitism. And from his perspective, he's not actually even talking about anti-Semitism. He's talking about anti-Israel sentiment. Whenever someone who is Israeli, who is not an avowed anti-Zionist, is talking about anti-Semitism in this way, they're most likely referring to anti-Israel sentiment. And we've seen that from the way I receive criticisms from people who are pro-Israel, who make it seem as though I'm actually, a nefarious anti-Semite doing anti-Semitic propaganda at a time when, if I was anti-Semitic, it would be beneficial for me to say so. Okay, it would be beneficial for my career to say that I don't like Jewish people, because unfortunately, what a lot of people still don't realize is that anti-Semitism is exploding. A lot of people who say that anti-Semitism is out of control don't actually realize how out of control it actually is. Okay? It's like when people accuse me of being secretly transphobic. It's like, brother, do you know how much more emotion I would have if I was outwardly transphobic? It's unironically one of the major issues with so many people who otherwise have like progressive values or otherwise are like on board with something, and then they hear me defend trans people one time and go, oh, this guy's out of his mind. Okay? I'm uncompromising in my positions, whether it be combating anti-Semitism, combating bigotry of all different forms, and I will never compromise on those positions because I care about the humanity of people, and that is just my worldview. My worldview stems from defending those who are unjustly maligned and persecuted for a distractive purpose for capital owners who want to dominate and continue to dominate the world, dominate the United States of America by consistently stealing shit from you, stealing money out of your pockets, and then redirecting your attention over to, Somalis, or redirecting your attention over to the handful of trans people that exist. Okay? That's it. What is this? That's not exactly what people said.
Also one of the founders of Checkpoint, another big cyber company. Shlomo, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How is AI cyber?
That will from critical infrastructure